You've probably heard this question 100 times. What's the best camera setup? But the truth is, there's no universal answer. There are tons of great gear options out there, from cinema rigs to mirrorless to compact run and gun builds. And the ideal setup, it's not about specs on paper. It's about you. It depends on the type of work you do, your workflow, and your creative priorities. So in this video, I'm going to break down the 3 biggest factors I considered when dialing in my own setup. Something that's evolved over years of shooting commercials, documentaries, and corporate films. Let's jump right in. Well, if you're like me, you probably have a big wish basket full of amazing gear sitting on your favorite equipment retailer's website. We all do. The latest camera, pro-level microphone, premium cine lenses, and it's very easy to fall into the trap of thinking, if I only had that, my work would be next level. But when you're running a business or freelancing, it has to make financial sense. It has to earn its keep. I remember early in my career, someone wisely explaining to me that any piece of equipment sitting on the shelf is money lost. And by the way, there are no piece of gear that will make your work better if you don't know how to use it well. Learning the theory, understanding lighting, exposure, composition, lenses, and color is far more important than owning the newest camera body. You can have the most expensive setup on the market, but if you don't know how to shape light, how to expose for mood, or how to tell a story visually, the final image won't hold up, period. For me, that means choosing tools that align with the kind of work that I do most often. Whether I'm shooting branded content, corporate interviews, or docu-style project, I invest in equipment that brings a solid return. Not necessarily the newest or even the most talked about, but gear that performs reliably and delivers the quality my clients expect. Now, a while back, a sound engineer recommended that I upgrade my boom mic. He pointed me towards what I would consider a very expensive option, something that would definitely improve the quality of my recording. And sure, from a pure technical perspective, he was right. But in the world that I operate in, where the audio ends up compressed on YouTube or embedded on the brand's website, or sometime even on television, the difference just wouldn't be noticed, and it would be hard to justify such a purchase. That's not a knock on quality, it's just reality. Sometimes the better option isn't the better investment. And don't get me wrong, I invest a good amount on my audio equipment and feel that the quality is more than appropriate for the type of work that I do. And that said, there are times when upgrading is absolutely necessary. Maybe the tech has evolved so much that you are now unable to deliver a competitive product. Maybe your clients are requesting capabilities you simply cannot deliver without new gear. Or maybe, like me, you've hit a creative ceiling and the gear, the tool that you're using, cannot keep up with where your skills are, limiting your creative expression. Now, when I reached that point a few years ago, I knew I needed to overhaul everything: camera, lenses, audio, lighting, the full setup. But I also knew I couldn't do it all at once. So I prioritized. I started with the cine lens, and I'm glad I did. Even mounted on my old camera body, that cine lens transformed the quality of my images. The contrast, the clarity, the way it rendered details and color, it was night and day. I saw results immediately. That one upgrade reinvigorated my work and reminded me that small strategic steps can make a massive impact. The ideal setup is one that supports your growth, makes sense for the type of work that you do, and evolves with your creative vision. And that means investing where it truly counts. It wasn't about building a nice rig. It was about building the right rig for the work that I do. Obviously, the core specs are the first thing that I looked at, and I knew I wanted a full frame sensor, high dynamic range, and a solid performance in low light. Beyond that, I knew I needed features to support the kind of work that I do. And so I was looking for tools like onboard variable ND filters, timecode capabilities, onboard audio control on the camera, and false color on the monitor. All those little things make a big difference, especially when working with a small crew. Every piece of gear I chose needed to serve a real purpose and make my workflow easier. Since most of my jobs require me to travel, I needed all those features in a compact setup that I could take anywhere. Versatility was also important because I shoot in a variety of environments and setup, from sit-down interviews to gimbal-based B-roll and tracking shots. I needed a system that could adapt on the fly. That meant making everything as interchangeable as possible. A very simple, easy, cheap way to achieve that was to use those small quick release mounts. And I have them on my camera cage, I have them on stands, I have them on the track, on the gimbal, and I place those receiving ends on my monitor, on my audio recorder, and so it allows me to then move everything very quickly wherever I need them. So for example, if I want to move my monitor from my camera to a stand, I can just release the quick release plate and I'm ready to go. Or if I want to move my audio recorder off the tripod plate, then it's a quick release. I just take it off and I'm ready to go for B-roll. I moved to a V-mount battery system with DTAP and USB outputs in order to streamline power management. That lets me power not just the camera, but my monitor, my wireless follow focus, and even my audio recorder, all from a single battery block. It not only reduced cable clutter and streamlined setup, but also made the entire system fully mobile, powering all of my gear from just that one single battery. But again, everything came back to size and weight, so I chose smaller V-mount batteries that still had enough output to support a full shoot day, but wouldn't overwhelm the rig or break weight limits for travel. The goal wasn't just power, it was practical power. Those are the simple things that will elevate not your work per se, but your efficiency. And with that, it will ultimately free you to then create better product. My approach has always been to extract every ounce of performance from the gear that I have. I want to understand my equipment inside and out, pushing it to its limit until there's nothing left to squeeze out of it. That's how I grow, and that's how I create. The right gear shouldn't just function, it should empower you. When your ideas are being held back by your tools, that's the clearest signal it's time to invest, because creativity thrives when gear gets out of the way and lets you chase the images that's in your head. So for me, when I finally was able to upgrade all of my equipment, it was kind of like a freedom to finally be able to express myself in ways that I just simply could not do with my previous equipment. From the quality of the glass, to the control that I had on the lens, to the quality of the monitor and the false color and the follow focus and the new gimbal system and track system. Having access to dual native ISO opened up a whole new world of creativity. Using a matte box where I could insert different filters just expanded my world of the kind of work that I could deliver. The onboard variable ND filters was just a huge step forward in creativity. It really opened the door to create shots that I previously was unable to do. It has really changed not just the type of shots that I do, but my whole workflow as far as how I expose. And so those are the type of tools, those are the type of functionality that really unleashes your creativity and your personality to then come out. I was finally able to use my skill set, my understanding of the technical side of things, and then apply it to tools that were allowing me to reach the levels that I wanted to reach. At the end of the day, the ideal camera setup isn't about chasing specs or brand names. It's about fit. Fit for your budget so that you're investing wisely and see a return on your investment. Fit for your workflow so that your tools work with you, not against you. And fit for your creativity so nothing stands in the way of your story. But here's the truth. Gear doesn't get the job done. You do. Cameras, lenses, and monitors are just tools. They can't create images on their own. Without the technical knowledge, creative intention, and disciplined execution behind the lens, even the best equipment won't elevate your work. In fact, it might do the opposite. Because as you upgrade, the stakes get higher. The tools become more sensitive. The margin of error gets smaller. A missetting, a wrong exposure, or a forgotten step becomes more noticeable and sometimes harder to recover from. Greater gear gives you more control, but it also demands more responsibility. That's why it's so important to build your setup around what actually helps you create. Tools that serves your process, equipment that amplifies your vision, and a system that gives you the confidence to perform under pressure. I hope this breakdown gave you a more intentional way to think about your own kit, what you really need, what you might be outgrowing, and what deserves a spot in your bag. If this helped, drop a comment and share with us your own kit and your own setup, just so that we can see how other people are solving some of the same creative challenges. And if you want more honest, experience-driven filmmaking insight, don't forget to subscribe, because this journey is about more than gear. It's about growing into the kind of filmmaker you're meant to be. Happy filming.